Hello, who are you?
My name is René Proost, working for the Siemens company. I'm a sales manager for the Benelux, South Africa and Namibia, and responsible for the channel and new business.
And where are you situated?
We're situated in Watertown, in Connecticut, that's the headquarters, and the EMEA head office is near London in Churchy.
And where are you from?
I'm from the Netherlands. I'm based in Rotterdam.
So what is your main task and goals?
The main task is that we educated the market into the building automation strategies, data center strategies, and for now, of course, we are here on the Smart Building Conference to educate the market and our channels related to the building automation in general.
You're talking about education. It's about workshops or a real university school, or was it?
No, workshops and in the end users and consultancy market to educate them about the trends in the cabling infrastructure and also the adoption of building automation in general.
So you're one of the players here at the ISE 2017.
Yeah.
Can you tell me something more specific about what your goals are for this week?
The goals for this week is, of course, to introduce ourselves into the audience and to get some leads from out of the market. We are really into the education. What I already said, we can support people with tender documents and design services. And the main goal is to end that into an installation where we can supply them with our products.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You have to set yourself up for success in terms of a complete systems integration.
So the question was, if you have a team ready to start a new building now, what advice could you give them before they begin? I think that we have been, the working group I was part of a few years ago began to develop a delivery process that is not made anywhere yet, but at my firm we have been starting to work that out internally. And that is that whole list of systems that I shared with you, to start with, what are the potential systems in our new building and what might they do when they start there. How might we want these systems to interact with each other? Because it has nothing to do with bricks and mortar yet. It has to do with the human experience. It really does. How do we want people to engage with the building? How do we want the building to engage with human beings? And so it's that systems matrix that I think is most important. I have some more information if you want to get back to me. I've got some stuff I can share with you.
More and more parts produced industrially, but on the other hand, the need to have this more personalized environment, more options, more possibility to change the mood in the right direction. And an example here on the screen is our smart home solution, where you are able to interconnect different devices, especially also from, for example, Philips lights, changing the color of the lights, but also interacting with our heating systems in order to adapt the temperature of your room.
Came out 2 years ago. You mentioned it was. Is it still going? Is it? What do we do with Mosaic?
Yeah, so Mosaic. So the question is what we are doing with Mosaic. So for the people who don't know, this initiative Mosaic is an initiative that we have launched as Bosch with ABB and Cisco. So the three partners are targeting an interoperability solution for smart home. So trying to break the silos and trying to offer different kind of service. It has been launched officially last year during the Light and Building.
Question about blockchain technology, if you could say something about this. It's rather new and the relation to tools like IoT.
So I know blockchain probably has some in detail, so I cannot really tell too much. For us, we have started in some areas from Russia doing some contracts with customers based on blockchain. It seems to be a possible technology to manage these microtransactions that we will have, for example, for IoT, and it could be an interest, as mentioned, I'm not a specialist in this area, but I would say it could be an interesting possibility when we speak about monetization of the data. If in a building example, you have, if we make this data lake, you have a light supplier, you have a heating suppliers, you have a smoke detector supplier, and so all of these suppliers will provide few data in order some other people are able to generate value based on that. And now the question is, how do you share this value generated based on the total of the data, or do you share that on all of these suppliers? It's clear that we don't believe really that it could be an open data concept, because the person who has invested in the sensor wants to get a part of the money back. So it could be based on blockchain technology in order to try to solve this kind of smart contract that you need to install.
Welcome to ISE 2017.
I'm going to start now. Hi, who are you?
Oh, hi, very good morning. Welcome to ISE 2017, and I'm Hock Tang. I'm with C.R.E.C. company dealing in specialized on DSP products for the install market. I'm stationed out in Asia, and I look after the Asian market for C.R.E.C. Incorporation, located in Seattle, where all the big companies are.
So where in Asia are you in?
Oh, I'm in Singapore. Sorry, I missed that, but I'm in Singapore. Yeah.
And what is your company doing?
We specialize on DSP, digital signal processors, for the install market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one more time, your company name?
C.R.E.C. Incorporation.
And we should know it because we're in Europe. I don't know.
Well, it's an international brand. It's been in the market for the last 40 years, so most people will know.
What are you guys doing?
We want to promote our product, our latest products to the market, and
What
then
kind of products are these?
digital signal processors with Dante-enabled capabilities, so that we can do network and expand audio across different sections of the properties, conference room and stuff like that.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
What kind of customers do you have?
All distributors, mainly focusing on distributors who are in the install market for sound, audio, installation.
Audio.
Yeah.
So it must sound great.
Yep.
And what is your favorite song?
My favorite song is Mick Jagger.
Yeah, the song? What song?
I forgot the name, but Mick Jagger. Yeah.
I can get no satisfaction.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for this interview.
Thank you.
So, yeah, my presentation. And obviously thanks to Bob for giving me the opportunity to talk today. So really, I have a very simple aim today, and that's really just to convey the message that we think the Internet of Things is going to help fundamentally change the way we design, operate, and use buildings. So who am I, and why should you be sat here listening? Well, probably best to start off by saying what I'm not. I'm not a manufacturer, I'm not a systems integrator. Hopefully I can give you an independent view on what we think is happening in smart buildings. It's really my job on a daily basis to try and think about and write about smart buildings. All of the content I'm going to show you comes from reports and research that we've written over the last couple of years.
In your report, we have seen, cloud-based platform, let's say. Yeah. What about fog computing and edge computing? How much this is going to impact the industry, taking into consideration the amount of data generated by a building today and even more tomorrow?
So you mean, what is the impact of?
So how much do you think that the industry needs a platform, an IoT platform that can be installed directly in the building instead of managing everything in the cloud?
No, I don't think that, not necessarily. What I think is it's less about the technology and it's more about the outcome, right? Okay, so let's focus on that. Let's use technology as the tool to deliver what we want the building to do. Now, yeah, I mean, I definitely think that cloud-based services have a huge part to play in delivering technology. But for me, what I think about is sort of a bit secondary. I'd rather think about what's the building going to do first.
But even in cloud, where you have public-private cloud, there are different types of clouds. So the fog computing, probably comes in for certain types of applications.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about picking the right technology for the right tool for the right job. Okay, and
I can answer that with your computing stuff before, so I can give you a little bit description on that. I think that I agree with what James and everyone is talking about. In the end of the day, is how do you monetize all the data? But then you first kind of need to connect all these devices to the cloud, and then you monetize the data coming back. So the way I look at fog computing is going to serve multiple ways. One is that for IoT devices, how do you get it connected? You have to figuring out a means to leveraging something like the gateway. So what the gateway does is kind of convert your existing IoT sensor protocol into a TCP/IP protocol, and then eventually it's going to join the rest of the network. But to do that, you also want the gateway to do more than just protocol conversion, and this is where the fog computing aspect comes in. So having the capability on the edge, able to take the IoT data and make sense out of it, and then enforce whatever the policy from the cloud side you want to enforce on the edge is very important, because majority of the IoT data is very chatty and also repetitive. So it just doesn't make sense for you to just keep sending all the data to the cloud. It's just going to blow up your cloud data to crazy. So having the gateway to just keep filtering out all the unnecessary data, and then based on particular policy, you also want to add on the edge. And so all that is kind of, you can conclude all that it means capability on fog computing. So I feel that is very important to really deploy fog computing on the edge.
Yes, thank you. There's a question back here. I think that just made the fog much clearer.
Oh, sorry. I missed by a lot.
From Schneider Electric. I have a question. You display a very nice products, but there is one point we never speak today. It's about the data model. We have this data lake, but so far
Agree to this.
It's another system, another
Sorry, we were jumping around right from the very beginning there. So Claire Penny from IBM, and all of this is very relevant to what I'm going to talk about this afternoon. Okay, so cloud computing, data ontologies, getting data into the system. I mean, basically, it's as simple as connecting your devices and your pieces of equipment to those sensors into a platform, analysing the data, storing the data, making sure that you don't store hundreds of thousands of bits and bytes of data that you don't need, stream it through streaming analytics, dump the data you don't need, keep the data you do need, and then once you have it, do something with it, be it cognitive analytics, predictive analytics, and then what is the output, what is the action? And Mark's James.
David Siri from WhoWhereWhat Consulting. I'm sharing the same concern as my Schneider colleague. We are moving to smart building, and I'm coming from the IT world. And basically, we had the same issues when it came 2 or 3 decades ago to standardizing on the counters and on the sensors for dumb routers. So SNMP has come up as a solution to standardize and to have a simple way to measure all the counters. Then a few years ago we had web services, and we had so much different software vendors that in the IT world we had ways to describe the web services so any developer can...
In your presentations, it's not only about convincing one stakeholder today, it's convincing a couple of stakeholders all that are involved. We created a kind of a 1-10-100 rule. Because, I mean, looking at what's about the cost per annum that you spend for a building. Typically, 30 euros per square meters for utilities, a factor of 10 to pay for the rent.
I'm working on a project called Living Lab. We're testing different technologies. Before I ask a question, I want to ask a question. How many of you have wear contact lenses or glasses or have any problems with your sight? A lot, yeah. So, and my question connected with health application and how a lighting system, smart lighting management system, can help us to have better sights, to help us to be connected with, that's called quality of light and behavior inside the building. Do you work with particular kind of research or R&D or any application, how we can correlate light management system with our eye health? Thank you.
Of course, I mean, from an Osram standpoint, in my business unit, we are the electronics provider, so that we are always doing together with the customers who actually then, of course, have the projects in hospitals, elderly care, and so on. And of course, we have some customers who also have done a lot of research when it comes to what we call human-centric lighting. That's not only tunable light, but the personalization of light that I have talked about earlier. Because, I mean, for the air temperature, yeah, it's always easy to see, because even in a room, 2 people sitting next to each other, yeah, one is with a sweater, the other is in t-shirt, yeah, but actually it's the same with the light. We simply have a different need of light and also how it should be. And there we are still ongoing in a couple of research projects together with a couple of customers.
Any particular cases? No?
Pardon?
Any particular cases?
I have to check, but we can follow up afterwards.
Thanks, Anna. Just a question about selling these line control applications. So it strikes me obviously that you're going from something which probably people are very comfortable with lighting controls to now talking about space management. But how are you actually going about, pitching this? Like, where is it? Is it change now? Are you moving perhaps from facilities managers to CIOs or whatever?
Yes, definitely, because so far...
You've probably already seen these slides a million times over, but we've got a world population reaching about just under 8 billion people, but when we start looking at the number of connected devices hitting us at around about 70 billion, it's huge. We're going to have something in the region of around about 7 more devices per person, and we still haven't connected most of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I see some of you taking pictures. If you want, come and see me after I give you the presentation. Makes your life a bit easier. Stop and break so you can understand this compliant building. And if we start looking at this, this is the way that the cabling infrastructure would go into a building. Yeah, it makes sense to me. But the point is, what type of cabling systems do the standards state it should be? Twisted pair. They're talking about cabling systems like Class D, Class C, Class EA, Class F and Class FA. So Category 6A, Category 7 solutions going into a building. Because what we're going to be able to do with a building is not just dedicate a service for a function, or it's just a port. I can unplug anything that I want to and plug something in.
Amsterdam. Thank you for the lively presentation. I hit somewhere at the end, because it went too fast, something about fiber. And not during the presentation itself, fiber was mentioned as an alternative to this Cat6, Cat7 as a building-centric network. For example, a GPON network and so on. And how would you see that, and also in relation to power over Ethernet?
Well, the reality is that there was always a war, wasn't there? With fibre and copper, which one's going to take over? And I would love fibre to take over, but the reality is it can't deliver power, so they're all stuck. But what I have got in my intelligent building, I've probably got some heating ventilation system that sits on top of the building. I've got Schneider Electric, I heard that they're here. I've got all of these other building control systems. And what I've got to do with those is they need an optical connection into their device so I can run it 300, 400, 600 metres, 1,000 metres down across my building campus to bring it in. So there's a big part for what I call ruggedised fibre. Not just the kind of cheap patch cord, real industrial grade fibre, and those solutions are out there. Fibre's long, here to stay. I love it.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1. Can I get a wave? Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I have Initiator.
Bitte, die kommt noch dran.
That situation. You may even have battery-driven devices, even more constrained in power consumption. Yeah, you want to have a secure network. You're running mission-critical operations with these devices, so you want data traffic to be encrypted, to be safe. So that all is the case for Thread, and Thread serves all these needs. So I said IP connectivity, I said internet protocol. So why is internet protocol important for that case and important for buildings? You could make it simple and ask, why is the internet more successful than other networks? So what is it, what the internet protocol is how is it constructed, and why it is so successful? Indeed, let's put ourselves into the shoes of a software developer. When talking about technology, let's functions Thread will support for commercial buildings. So imagine you're in a home. It started with the traditional application, the application Thread started with, homes and small businesses. There you would typically have only a few people managing your network, maybe only one. In a private home, you may buy your small bulbs or your connected devices. You buy them from a trusted supplier, you commission them, you may use an app, scan a barcode to identify the device, to authenticate the device, type in your credentials, and then basically you don't share it with anybody else. So you trust your network, you trust all the devices, you trust the people you give your network credentials for, so this is a quite secure system. But in large commercial buildings, the situation is really different. In large commercial buildings, when you set up hundreds of these devices, this will not be done by just one person. This will be done by many people. It will be done by installers. They want to install the devices. They want to check they're functional. They want to hand this work over to the next trade. They want to prove they have done their work. And then they will hand over to the next trade.
Planning for inter-building systems, meaning if we have a campus with 1 to 3 buildings, should we do intra-building separate networks, and how do we interconnect them?
Well, typical range in use Thread for is 100 meters line of sight. So walls in between may change that, but the range is really a lot influenced by the density of your network, because you don't need to bridge from any device to any device. You only need to bridge from a device to its next device, and then the information will propagate through the mesh. So it's a little bit difficult how to say or how to express how far it can reach. So the maximum distance between two neighbors, which don't have anything else in between which could support, will be something like 100 meters line of sight.
So how buildings are built, how areas are built, what we do with our buildings, not taking things individually. This use of other systems. I think that's the key thing, you don't lose anything. It's a management tool. I think that's the key thing. One protocol. If you've got one protocol across your built environment, you've got more buildings have accessible data. You go in there, you learn your one protocol, you have that. You don't need to necessarily know the various other protocols that are tagged on top of that building. If it comes into the KNX system, you're managing it via that system, you've got access to it. The data extraction is in one protocol from multiple sources. That means cost efficiencies. Cost efficiencies to you as someone that is managing that data or wants to manage that data, or wants to give value to that data. But also, if you're an integrator, you're an installer, that means you're working with one protocol as well, one system as well. This idea of having one protocol creates the market for data management. This is where we're going with this, is what can you do with this data?
So it's fun.
Thank you so much. Quite a common question about who owns the data. We're all talking about collaboration between a big number of companies in one project. Finally, who owns the data in the end?
It will normally depend on the contract of the developer with that, for that particular building. So it will vary from building to building. If it's a number of residential buildings being put up by a housing association, it could be the housing association, but it will normally boil down to contractual. There's another couple of hours discussion there about who owns the contract, but that normally boils down to contractual. What I'm trying to talk about here is the actual technical. We can get to that data, you can use that data. But it's monitored also, it's sort of something about that if you're monitoring people for health, that's also, there's an important contractual point there that has to be pulled up. But the key thing is the data is available. Once you can back it out about who owns it, yes, that's the key thing. But you can, if you're proposing a system to a developer, you can add value to your proposal by saying you can bring this data.
From the point of open data, a lot of really specialists talking about we need to open data, but it goes to business, not a lot of companies who want to open their data. How you try to balance in this kind of open data and data for business?
Yeah, I think there's potentially a slightly difference in the data because what we're talking about here is the actual building automation data more so than the actual data that the business is holding as such upon you as a person or upon the people within the building. So we're talking about using a simple piece of data, for instance, by activating a light switch or going through a turnstile. You're not actually taking anyone's personal data or data that belongs to a company. It's data of passage of movement through a building or passage of movement in and out of a room. So you're really looking at how you can use that data to create efficiencies. And then if you've got, say, 5 or 6 large buildings together, yes, there's a contractual question there of who owns that data to feed it, say, back into city centre for them to change the metro timings because people are actually leaving work at 4 o'clock and not 5 o'clock. But yeah, it's not a case of that we haven't got the data, it's the case that we've got the data, but people need to sit down and talk contracts. Yeah, that's a bigger problem.
Buildings, they're not normally software programmers, they don't write code. So high-level programming tools with drag and drop logic are essential to allow them to do their job well. Conversely, in a typical programmer environment, it's all about code. And since many IoT solutions come from professionals with an IT and programming background, the software interface is usually something like this. And this is one of the challenges for delivery in buildings, since most open source software offerings are this way inclined.
From IBM again. Hi guys.
This is a question, not a sales pitch, isn't it?
It is a question. Thank you for using Node-RED, first of all. But secondly, have you, you're doing this work, as you'll see, we are as well in IBM, but have you tested the market, and I asked this, one around the BMS providers, have you had much pushback from those guys, and also the FM providers who absolutely adore their BMS systems?
Explored it to a point. I think some of the BMS manufacturers and suppliers are quite archaic in their approach and therefore probably won't welcome some of what we've said today. I'd then say there are others that are thinking about a new approach and moving towards selling services and software as a service rather than selling boxes.